Well, today's episode is going to be a little interesting. As you know, there's still some events I haven't reviewed yet. So the one I'm going to be doing today is going to be Black Label Pro with All My Friends Are Enemies that took place on the 18th. I believe we only have one championship match taking place, which is the BML Heavyweight Championship in a street fight. And then, of course, as you know, we continue with more of New Japan Pro Wrestling with CMLL with Fantastica Mania. And I believe they went back to Korakuen Hall for that. And then finally, we cap it with a 7 matches in AEW Dark Elevation. And then, of course, we finish it off with our news updates. We got some interesting stuff we definitely going to be talking about. And finally, at the end of that news updates, I'm definitely going to take some time to talk about something very serious. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J. Rod here. So, let's begin with Black Label Pro with All My Enemies Are Friends. This one took place on the 18th of February. Now, there were 2 day two shows in one day happened. Love Stinks, and this one, luckily I was only able to see this one. So let's get started. Our opening match is a tag team. We have a group I never heard of, Twist and Flip by with Darren Fly and Nate Cobain. Now, not much about these guys, but I did hear a lot of few things about them from the commentators. They take on Hog and Dog, consisting of Matt Brannigan and Megabyte Ronnie. Now, the way I saw this match, many people were like believing that this match will fall in the bag of Hog and Dog because they are like the most popular group. Twist and Flips are like the new kids on the block, if you believe that. But no one, the from what I'm hearing, that these guys are an incredible tag team, but somehow their name could be put in the conversation for a tag team title consistency because in this one they picked up a huge upset when they defeated Hog and Dog when they did a double pin onto Brannigan, and I'm like, wow. So they did not cheat it, but somehow it was more like an upset. Basically, they showed they should be in the conversation for that. So pretty impressive. Next up, we got the heavyweight hustle, Tankman, Calvin Tankman taking on one called Manders. Now, this is one of those hoss fights you definitely don't want to miss because these are two big individual dudes, two big hombres. You know what I mean? So that has always been one of the things that I enjoy. But who will be the one to take the other out? That's the question. I mean, Juan Commanders, we all know who he is. He's one of those guys we've seen with who's took on the toughest competitors. Same thing with Calvin Tankman, but now it's like these two are facing each other in some capacity. You probably would have thought that maybe Juan Commanders would have got it, but no, not this one. It was of course Calvin Tankman with the Tankman driver that finished off Manders and picked up a big win. Next up, this is a very interesting one, all high flying. We have, of course, the youngster Eli Isom, who you may remember from Ring of Honor, versus Aerostar, a very legendary high flyer down in Mexico, especially in AAA. I have to say it was great to see him in this one. It was a very fantastic match. I think this is like one of those matches where it shows, okay, you got the youngster versus the veteran, who will walk out, and that plays out pretty well. But it was Eli who applied a very old school move that we all know that it's effective, and that is of course the Brainbuster, and that finished off Aerostar and giving Eli the win. But in the end of the match, he showed his respects to Aerostar, because guys like him are the reason that he's there, and I think he really got one of his dreams come true to face guys like Aerostar. Next match we have Naruto Saints, consisting of Adam Steele and Bradley Prescott the fourth, I think. Yeah, the fourth, and of course their tag partner Alice Crowley. They take on Matt Nix. He teams up with Pick and Pop, uh, Darius Latrell, and Coda Hernandez. Now, I don't know much about some of these teams, but one thing that was interesting is Nix and Pick and Pops actually left during our match. So Alice and Notre Dame actually said, you know what? Count them out. See what happens. So they count them out, but as soon as they realize they that they're not playing around, they run back, but all three of them applied a tope suicida to pick up the win. And I thought it was very interesting but it was of course Alice with a suplex onto Darius that allowed her and of course her team to win. Very impressive. Now I'm not much familiarized with Allison Crowley, but she's really something I needed to pay attention to. Next match we have Crash Jackson versus Vinny Pacifico. Oh man, Crash, I have to say he's been killing it. I'm not only in the like wherever I see him, like either in GCW or BML, BLP, or possibly in Wrestling Revolver. I thought this is going to be an interesting match, but he really had a good match with Vinny Pacifico. But he picked up the win, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have Isaiah Browner and Josephine Navarro taking on, what's their name? The Haven, Jay Onyx, and Sean Knight. I thought it was really interesting. Now, I see this as like, okay, this one was a very impressive match, but it was a big lariat by, what's his name? By Droner onto Isaiah that put away Sean, and oh my god, it was like so insane. It was a very impressive move, so I thought it was great. Now our next match, we have Trey Lamar taking on KZ from Dragon Gate, also the leader of Natural Vibes. I thought it was really fun to see KZ. KZ is a veteran in wrestling, especially he's been around the block, taking on a youngster like Trey Lamar. But don't count out KZ yet. He is a veteran after all. He knows what he's doing. But he finished off Trey Lamar with a much famous movie, though, the Frog Splash, and that ended right there for him. Next match, we have tag teams. We got another type of youngster versus the veteran. We got the youngsters, Miracle Generation, Dustin Waller, and Colin King, taking on Aaron Williams and Gary J. You probably thought, okay, how's this one gonna be? Some people say mostly the youngsters would win because they're young, they're fast, but don't count out the veterans. That's always been the case because the veterans know exactly how the youngsters would think because they were in their position. But the only fancy thing that happened, Aaron Williams put, I think, Waller in the most iconic move we all know, the power driver, and it put away and gave him and Jay the win. Then finally, our main event was the Black Label Pro Heavyweight title in between Billy Starks, who is the champion, taking on someone you guys know, who you may know his name, Brogan Finley. That's right, the son of David Finley and brother of David Finley. I thought it was like really impressive, good match. But however, Billy Starks was the one who prevailed when she applied a power driver right on top of the title, right in front of the head of Brogan, and allowed her to retain the title. Now I haven't seen the Love Stinks, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it. But if there's any new events coming up in the upcoming weeks or month, I don't know, but we'll see for that. So I think that's pretty much it right now with Black Label Pro. I believe it's time for New Japan. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling with more of CMLL Fantastica Mania. They go back to Corkin Hall, and their opening match is Kosa Fujita teaming up with Rei Kometa, taking on members of Just Four Guys, Yoshinobu Kanemaru and Doiki. Now, we have seen Just Four Guys in the earlier start of this tour. They picked up some very good wins. However, we have seen Doiki picked up a really good, impressive win in a trios match, but Kanemaru was not involved in that one. But they have picked up a loss recently, but that doesn't stop them from trying to find more success. So, but the X factor in this match, I have to say, is Koza Fujita, who is the young lion, who still hasn't graduated yet, but he is a member of TMDK. Keep that in mind. But you probably would have assumed that he would be the weakest link that Just Four Guys would definitely try to take out. And fortunately, he ended up on the wrong side of the figure four by Kanemaru, forcing him to tap. Next up, we have Geto teaming up with El Hijo de Villano III, taking on Master Wato and Tiger Max. Now, keep in mind, they've been going back and forth, Villano and Tiger Mask. Now, keep in mind, Villano, who is a a third generation wrestler, like his dad, his uncles, including his grandfather. He's trying to prove that this is his time now, taking on a legendary wrestler like Tiger Mask. But you know for a fact, Tiger Mask is not going to tolerate him regardless. Now, keep in mind, many times Villano had tried to take off his mask successfully, but Tiger Mask was unsuccessful to take off his, since somehow there's always a number advantage. But in this case, it was Master Watu who picked up the win, giving him and Tiger Mask the W. But, of course, like always, Villano intended to hurt Tiger Mask even further, but apparently that did not help. But, of course, Villano did state that the following day he wants to have a match against him. So that's going to be interesting to see. Next up, we have Capitan Suicida taking on Ultimo Guerrero. He is like the fan favorite in Mexico because people know who he is. He's legendary. He is a veteran in lucha libre. That's how I view the whole thing. I think he was a fan favorite, but the most impressive is he tried a suplex on top of the turnbuckle that put away Capitan Suicida and put him in a pinfall. That's how legendary the guy is. He knows what he's doing. Been there, done that. Next up, we have a very interesting trios match. We have Rusuke Taguchi teaming up with Barbaro Cavanero and El Desperado to take on the members of LIJ, consistent of Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Tetsuya Naito. Now, keep in mind, Naito and Taguchi have been going back and forth with each other on this. I have to say it was really a fun match, very, very impressive. But nothing beats with unpredictable moves that you cannot expect it was going to happen. It was Naito with the jackknife on Barbero who picked up the win. However, of course, the fun begins with Naito stealing the inflatable keyboard by Taguchi. Then Taguchi tried to play that he thinks he's a member of LIJ, but that did not work, so they beat him up over that. Next up, we got Okamura teaming up with Atlantis Jr. and Hechicero to take on Magia Blanca, Dulce Gardenia, and Místico. Now, on several occasions, we have witnessed Okamura and Dulce Gardenia try to get in each other's faces, but it was a pretty good match, I have to say. Hechicero was very impressive, from my opinion. He picked up a good win when he applied his submission onto Magia Negra, but at the most match, Okamura said that he would take, of course, Dulce Gardenia in a singles competition match the following day. However, they're not the only ones. You got Místico and Atlantis Jr. actually said the same thing. The thing is between them, as you know, Místico, he is legendary himself. You may remember him as as you know, Místico is the original Sin Caras, not the one who we saw later on. There was two Sin Caras. He was the first and original one, so this is the same one. He takes on Atlantis Jr., who is a second generation wrestler like his dad. I'm a big fan of his dad, so we'll see how that plays out as well for that. I can't wait to see the following day. Next match, we have Templario taking on Volador Jr. Man, it was a good match. I've seen Templario on many occasions. First time I saw him was in the Crash show that I attended a couple years back. I was like impressed with him. But he takes on a veteran like Volador Jr., who is amazing in his own right. So you probably think there was going to be some high spots. However, there was one thing you need to count on is Volador Jr., who has very high flying capabilities. So he picked up the win by applying in her Karana on top of the turnbuckle onto Templario. 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our main event is in fact a sanctioned title, but not from New Japan, is from CMLL. So anyway, this one is of course for the CMLL welterweight title between Soberano Jr. versus the champion and member of LIJ Titan. This was a very brutal match, but not to mention one that I did not expect. Now remember, one of the primary finishers by Titan is El Inmortal, when he is like a stomp onto the chest. However, he did that outside of the ring on top of the turnbuckle, and Soberano worked out. So basically, it was the perfect weak spot for Soberano to do. But at the same time, it's the same thing that later happened to Soberano. So you probably would have thought this match was going to be easy for Soberano, but no. Titan applied the Mudo Lock, and boom, just like that, he retained his title. And as you know, this will be the second last day of the Fantastica Mania tour. So we'll see what happens the following day. I'm so excited for that. So right now, let's move on to our final review, and that is AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, our final review, AEW Dark Elevation, opened up with Emi Sakura taking on Rochelle Riverta, I think that's the name. Now, nothing too fancy, but however, you probably can guess this one will fall in favor to Emi Sakura. Yes, she applied the moonsault. I feel the moonsault has been more of an effective finisher for her, so that's what I'm going to have to say right there with Emi Sakura. Next up, we have the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, along with Maria Kanellis, who we haven't seen for quite some time. They take on BJ Sparks and Aguilar E. Gary. I don't hopefully I pronounced that last name right. But anyway, this match, well, you can say it fall in favor of the Kingdom, as much like we've seen they don't like to use this technical term like the jobbers in this one. More where they use the enhancements to give a little bit of the recognition that we need with these guys. But I was surprised that they tried something different in this match. Taven applied that kick right into the chest to Aguilar, and boom, 1, 2, 3, it was over right from there. Next up, we got ladies trios action. We have Diamante teaming up with Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. Now, they have been both Nyla and have been effective, not to mention great successful trio match with Emi Sakura. But let's see how things with Diamante was. I have to say it did pretty well too. I feel like maybe all four of them could form like a stable group together. And I think that could play out pretty well too. But their opponents, not so lucky. We have Brittany Brooks, Miss May, and Maserati. You may know Maserati as well. But this match ended with, of course, when Nyla Rose put the Beast Bomb onto Maserati, but it wasn't her who picked up the pinfall. It was Marina Shafir. 1, 2, 3, right there, it's over. Next up, we have Powerhouse Hobbs versus Daniel Evans. Now, you probably thought this match was going to end quickly. No, he applied the Spinebuster, which was his finisher at one point, and now he tries like sort of like a GTS, but without the kick, the knee strike onto the face. He just flattens him down and ends it right there. So I don't know what they call it. If you guys know the name of that move, just let me know. Next up, we have, Isaiah Cassidy, Matt Hardy and Ethan Page taking on Ice Williams, Braxton, and Watson. I think this is where we're like. I think we're only seeing this type of team mostly on Dark, but but it's fun to watch. But I didn't think this match fall into favor with them when Hardy applied the twist of fate onto Ice Williams, giving them the win. Now our next match we have is an AEW World Women's Title Eliminator. We have Athena taking on Daniela Camella. You may remember her as Vanessa Bourne in NXT. It's great to see her. This is not the first time she was on AEW. She did appear in AEW Dark last year, but it's great to see her. But unfortunately, she lost when Athena applied the Eclipse on her. I don't know if that's what they call it, but once again, in the end of the match, with her behavior, she attacks her and sets up like that. Now, our main event is Lee Johnson, who we haven't seen for quite some time, takes on the Japanese rising star Konosuke Takeshita. I have to say, great match. I have to say, great finisher on this one, but it took only one strike to the knee. I don't know if he tried the Kamigo. No, it's not the Kamigo. It's like a knee strike right in the face of Lee Johnson, and boom, just like that, Konosuke Takeshita won. So I think that's pretty much it with AEW Dark Elevation. Let's talk about some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. As you know, Black Label Pros announced for the Squared Circle Expo that will take place on the 7th April. Another match has been booked, and this one is for the Black Label Pro Midwest Championship between the champion Joshua Bishop to take on veteran and legendary wrestler. You guys know him all too well, Gangrel. That's right, Joshua Bishop will face the Vampire. Now, WrestleCon has announced for the next guest to show up in their upcoming convention at WrestleMania weekend. You guys know him too, legendary wrestler, and would name your price. That's right, Ted DiBiase will be there. Or as I will always remember Cameron Grimes saying, that goddamn Ted DiBiase. So yeah, can't wait to see that. Now, as you know, recently I did reported that for that very particular day week for WrestleMania week, WrestleCon, and of course for their upcoming show, March Hitchcock Memorial Super Show, they announced for a 10-person tag match that will be comprised is a showcase match comprised with mostly with Tokyo Yoshi Pro Wrestling talent. They yet to announce who will participate. I believe they're trying to figure that out. Now, I know there's certain wrestlers that I did mention will be there. I think Yamashita, Meiko Satomura, Miyu Watanabe, and so on. But we still don't know yet. But I will find out who will be participating in that as soon as they announce it. Interesting news has been developed. It was announced that Vickie Guerrero will be departing with AEW by July of this year. Reasons behind this is it was later revealed that Vickie Guerrero did not decide and decided not to renew the contract, so she and AEW agreed to that. So as soon as her contract is over, she'll be gone for now. Can't wait to see what else she's gonna do by the remaining of whatever months she has left, and we'll go from there. Now, speaking of AEW, if you guys remember, I did reported that Fightful Select reported that Ashley DeBon was given an AEW contract. Now, not a lot of specifics has been told. Now, it has been confirmed the AEW has offered a contract. However, the significance of the contract we don't know yet. We don't know if this is long term or short term. That's still undeniable. But AEW does have strongly believe they will get their answer, but in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure that Ashley DeBoss is looking into her contract or negotiating, however it is. So I know recently we have seen her within AEW on countless times during the pandemic days. She recently made her appearances in NWA, but we'll go from there. Now, the FI is announced for the upcoming event later on in March on the 11th. For on top, there's going to be a three-way match consistent of Clark Connors, Cody Chun, and Artemis Spencer. So that's going to be good. Now, speaking of the month of March, as you know, we have JCW with March Madness on the 4th of March. It was announced that Jordan Oliver, our current JCW champion, will be there. Now, we don't know what's the significance there. We know he is the champion for this promotion, but we just don't know what's the significance of Ben B there. There was no announcement whether he'll put his title on the line or so, but we'll find out soon enough. Hopefully before that day. Now, I cannot recall if I reported this, but Wrestling Revolver has their upcoming show Thursday that will take place on the 6th of April. Brian Keith will be making his debut. That's right, the Bounty Hunter will be there, and his first hunt will be against the Impact Wrestling World Champion, Josh Alexander. So that's going to be one heck of a match. Then I think I might have reported this one. Miyu Mashita and Ali Catch will be facing each other for the very first time. That's going to be a good one too. Now for our GCW updates, as you know, the Holy Smokes event will take place on the 4th of March. It was already revealed that the JCW Championship will be on the line. Jordan Lawler will defend it against Alex Coughlin, the former Young Lion, and I'm so excited to see how this one's going to go. Bloodsport 9 has announced two matches. Royce Isaacs will be taking on Johnny Bloodsport. You may know him as Johnny Nitro, Johnny Impact, John Morrison, however you want to call him. And of course, the second match was announced. John Moxley will be in a match against Davey Richards. Now, that is the one I definitely got to be watching. Definitely. Now, interesting news coming from the GCW versus DDT event that will be taking place on the 31st. Cold Roderick will be in a match against Yoshihiko. That's right, Yoshihiko is going to be there too. I'm like, I'm excited to see how this one goes. For the FE Big Gay Brunch that takes place on the 1st of April, we have Kid Bandit taking on Sawyer Wreck. That's going to be interesting. And as you know, the upcoming events such as Into the Night that will take place on the 21st of April, they announced Alice in Danger will be there. Now, for all you Himeka fans, if you're big fans of Stardom, especially with Himeka, this guy Dana, who I mentioned a few times, has put out translated an interview that Himeka has done with Tokyo Sports. This one tells about why she chose to retire, who did she talk to, what's going to be her plans now that she retired. So that's something that's been saying. So I will attach that interview in the description down below so you guys can check it out. It's really good stuff to hear. So we'll see about that. Now, finally, this one is a very interesting and serious matter. As you may all heard or not, if you, in the Stardom fan base, Tam Nakano has been getting internet troll recently, and this is what she had to say. She posted this on her social media. These days, more people are saying heartless words on Twitter. Of course, I'm well aware that most of our fans are kind. However, due to the promising of people who reportedly make disparaging tweets, not a few people are beginning to think Stardom fans are outlaws. I don't like that kind of thing. If you see such tweets, please report them on to Twitter management. I want so many loving words from everyone that I can forget about nasty words. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. Do we really need this shit again? First, we had that with Hana Kimura 3 years ago, and now this. This is what pisses me off. Look, if you don't like Tam Nakano, okay, I get it. But don't say negative comments on Twitter. That's the last thing we need, okay? We don't need another repeat to what happened to Hana Kimura. It's so effing messed up, okay? It's just wrestling, guys. Get over it. I mean, look, this thing, what happened to Hana, should not have happened. We don't need this again. Now, if you guys, if you're big time Tam Nakano fans, if you see negative comments, please report it. I don't want this again. We don't need this again at all. That's the last thing we need. You know, and I don't think we're in a business to try to bring someone down just because we don't like the wrestler. Look, if you don't like Tam Nakano, that's fine. Don't say a word. Just shut up about it. You can scream it out in the heavens if you want. That's how it works. So, got that out of the system. So I think that's pretty much it right now with the news updates. I believe it's time to call it a day. Okay. Hope everybody enjoys this episode. Again, please, we don't need this crap with Tam. We don't need a repeat to Hana Kimura. I just put it out there for everybody. We just don't. I don't want this. I'm sure some of you don't want this. This is not the right thing to do. But the right thing we can do is report it. That's all we can do. So, coming up for our next episode, I know we have the last day of the New Japan CMLL Fantastica Mania show. I'm sure it's going to be a killer event. Can't wait to review that. Of course, we have Tuesday Wrestling featuring NXT, AEW Dark, and of course, NWA Power. I can't wait to see what's going to take place. So that's what we're going to be reviewing from this particular for the next episode. I hope you guys enjoy the Unagi Sayaka watch that I put on earlier. Some interesting stuff, but that's how it plays out. So for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.